If you're a parent, especially a single mom, you know that feeling, right? Where it seems like your teenage son is just living on another planet. A planet filled with headsets, glowing screens, and a language you can't quite crack. And that can feel lonely and, honestly, a little scary. But what if the key to bridging that universe between you is sitting right there in your living room? Let's get into it.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. This idea right here. What if that controller, the very thing that seems to be pushing you apart, is actually an invitation? We're going to look at how to flip the script on gaming from a source of conflict to, believe it or not, a powerful tool for connection.
Okay, but before we can do that, we have to understand the problem. We've got to explore this digital divide. Why is it that you and your teen can be looking at the exact same screen and seeing two completely different worlds? And look, if you feel helpless, you're not wrong to feel that way. It's totally valid. For so many single moms, there's a real worry about a mentorship gap. And that online world your son lives in, it can feel like a confusing, chaotic maze. So yeah, it's natural to feel like you're on the outside looking in, just worried about what's really going on.
And this is where that disconnect just becomes crystal clear. On one side, you've got all the parents' concerns, and they are legit. Violence, is he becoming isolated? What about all the inappropriate content? Is he just wasting time? But on the other side, you see what's actually happening in his reality. For him, this is about community, it's about learning teamwork, it's about figuring out who he is. He's not just playing a game, he's living and he's learning.
So if that's his reality, let's try to see it through his eyes for a minute. Let's really dig into what these digital spaces mean for a teenage boy today, because I promise you it is so much more than just a hobby.
I love this term, the cultural operating system. It's perfect. For boys today, games like Fortnite, Valorant, or Roblox, they're not just games. They are the modern-day clubhouse, the village square. This is where they learn the social rules, where they joke around, where they build their friendships. It's literally the central hub of their social lives.
And because of that, this is ground zero for them encountering some major life stuff. You know, the characters in the games, the interactions they have with players online, these things are introducing huge, complex ideas about who they are, about relationships, about status. And it's happening way before a lot of these conversations ever happen face-to-face.
Okay, so we've got this digital world that's kind of complicated. It's a huge source of worry for parents, but it's also a totally vital social space for teams. So the big question is, how do we turn that barrier into a bridge? How do we make it connect us?
And that leads us right to this. I mean, what if we've been looking at this whole thing completely backwards? What if the very thing causing all that friction at home is actually the single most powerful tool you have to connect with your son?
This is a really powerful idea from an organization called Barba Games. When you start seeing gaming this way as a preparation for life, everything changes. It becomes this sort of virtual apprenticeship, a practice field for the real world. But how do you make sure it's the right kind of practice? The magic word here is guided. This isn't about just letting your son disappear into his room for hours. No way. This is about being intentional. When a parent steps in as a kind of coach, that game suddenly becomes a training ground for real-life skills, especially emotional intelligence, which, as we know, is absolutely critical for navigating those teenage mood swings and challenges. All right, theory's great, but let's get practical. We've talked about the why, now let's get into the how. This is a real, actual strategy that any parent, no matter how much you know about gaming, can use to start building that bridge today.
It's called co-gaming, and it's way easier than it sounds. Step 1, just join in. Seriously, pick up a controller. You don't have to be good. Step 2, just watch and listen. See how he handles a tough loss or a big win. How does he solve problems? Step 3, ask questions. Use something that happens in the game to start a real conversation. And finally, step 4, connect it to real life. That decision he made in the game, that's a perfect jumping-off point to talk about choices and values in the real world.
And here's the best part, okay? You don't have to become a pro gamer overnight. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just try for 20 minutes, just this week. The point isn't to win the game. The point is just to show up, to be present in his world. That's it. So what's the long-term payoff for those 20 minutes? Let's talk about the incredible impact this kind of digital mentorship can have, especially for mothers who are raising the next generation of men. I mean, just look at the skills being built here. These aren't just gaming skills, they're life skills. Teamwork, bouncing back from failure, that's resilience. problem solving, communication, and there it is again, emotional intelligence. This is a practice field for the exact things they need to succeed at school, in a job, and in their future relationships.
And to put a finer point on it, what groups like Barbahag Games are doing is basically creating a modern version of legendary mentorship programs. Think of it like a digital age Kenyan equivalent of something like 100 Black Men. It's powerful, it's culturally relevant, and it meets these boys right where they are.
I think this quote just says it all, doesn't it? When you show you're willing to step into their world, to understand it, you earn the trust you need to guide them in your world, in the real world. It's a two-way street built on respect.
So, there it is. The invitation's on the table. That controller's sitting on the coffee table. It's not a wall, it's a door. And the only question left is, are you ready to pick it up and walk in?